welcome to Couch Conversations. I'm Kevin Fredericks.
And I'm Melissa Fredericks.
And these are our friends. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, man, me first? Okay, cool. How you doing? I'm Devontae Bennett.
Destiny Bennett.
And how long have you guys been married?
We will be married 10 years this year.
December.
Yeah.
10 years this year. And how about you all?
I'm Shaun Rogers,
I'm Jackie Rogers.
and we will have been married 13 years in June.
Nice. Melissa and I have been married 18 years. And my first question is, how long were you guys together prior to marriage? And who did you become after you got married?
So you do the math. You do that one.
We were actually married for 8 months.
Married.
I'm sorry, we were together for 8 months before we got married. And like 5 of that, he was in training for the military.
Yeah.
5 of the 8 months?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
And how about you guys?
So we were together for 8 years before we got married.
And you've been married for how many years, remind me?
13.
Oh, so 21 years.
Together.
Forever.
Forever.
Or forever, whichever word you want to use. 21 or forever.
You could either do the math or say forever.
So Melissa and I were together, what was it, 4 years?
We were together 4 years, but we started dating at 16. So we were really forever is what it feels like. We've been, at this point, we're almost together longer than we've not been. Actually, that's true.
No, yeah, that's, yep.
Yeah, that's true. And
We've
so,
been together 21 years.
yeah. So one
Yeah.
of the things that is super interesting about like as people and then being with a partner is like when you think about all of the transitions you've gone in life, like the
yeah.
different iterations of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I know for us it's been, I'll let you talk, child, about all my different iterations
Man.
and what that means
There was
to
the
you.
sweet, sweet high school girl. There's Melissa the girlfriend. There's Melissa the fiance. I feel like that change was different.
Girlfriend to fiance?
Girlfriend to fiance, I feel
be
like there was a change. Newlywed to new parent to wife to a husband who got fired to new parent again. Oh no, new parent, second new parent was that. Then entrepreneur. I mean, I feel like every part of our life change, our marriage kind of adjusted along with that life change. So I'm curious, from both couples, is there the first big change do you remember noticing in your partner where you're like, oh, I've got to love him or her differently? Do you remember what that was?
Oh, yeah. That was year one.
Yeah.
Well, it was when
I
we
feel like
got
that
married.
was like immediately.
We were together for 8 months prior, but I've known her since I was 14. And essentially, that was like my sister, my best friend. Her mom almost was like a second mom to me. So we were already really close by the time we actually got together. We just, never were together. But
We
girlfriend.
were always dating somebody else.
Yeah. We was always still talking, messing around stuff. It was a
Oh,
little
y'all
dating,
had a little, that's my sister, but you know what I'm saying? We playing house.
You already know, look. Pretty much. So, I mean, that turned into, as soon as we got married, it was like a complete switch, because then we got married and pregnant around the same time.
Yeah.
So,
we
yeah.
immediately, like, as soon as we were both single, we started dating immediately. And then from that, we got married that same year. And 2 months before we were married, we were pregnant. So
You had, it was like
it was
back to
really
back
fast.
changes.
Yeah. It was really fast.
That's like a pressure chamber.
Yeah.
So how was that for you guys?
Yo, it was
It was hard.
hard as an understatement.
Yeah.
It was the most difficult thing. I ain't gonna lie, I was one of those children that I definitely, at 16, I graduated. I left my house at 17.
Dang.
I was in the military at 17,
Wow.
turning 18. I turned 18 during boot camp. So I was just like, I'm a man. What you gonna tell me? And then world was like, yeah, you a man, huh? Yeah, you a man.
You a man, ain't you? Stand up.
That's a good way to put it, a pressure chamber. And it was
For years.
Yeah.
And years.
It was dope. It wasn't dope, but it's dope now looking back.
Looking back.
But yeah, it's like, yeah, we went
You can
through.
reflect on it now.
Yeah, because I look at how strong we are. Like, we done went through a real test, like, we have a real testimony of it. So it's like, okay, nah, I know this is forever. I done seen, we done been through the struggle. We know what's up.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you guys?
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
I
Go
think
ahead.
for me, we dated in college, and that's a little bit different when you're dating in college. And so then when I graduated before her, when she graduated, that's when I had to start showing up different. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but when she graduated, she was like, okay, I want to break up. I want to go our separate ways.
Oh,
I was like, wait a minute, time out. What do you mean? What's happening here? But she's like,
the
I'm
cap and gown and you.
and everything. That's right. So she's like, I'm moving back home. I got this new job. I want to go, my separate ways. And so that's when I had to start thinking about, all right, I can't be the boyfriend I was in college. I need to be thinking about, okay, what does it mean to be, we're both in the professional world, being a boyfriend, potentially a spouse, what does that mean? And so that was a big adjustment for me.
Yeah.
But we're here. So I think
God
I don't know
is
what your answer would be, but
I would
that was
say,
probably the biggest change for me.
For me, the biggest change is once we got married and moved to New York, he had started a new job that was really stressful, and it was consuming him, and he was not managing it well. So that was probably like the biggest adjustment for me, was like, this is a new person, and how do I help manage this new person who's not happy? So that was probably the biggest.
And we were newlyweds.
And we were newlyweds, so yeah, that was probably the biggest adjustment.
And do you have kids?
Yes.
Do you have kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was parenthood another change for you?
Yes.
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 It still is.
Parenthood.
It's still, no, like legit,
Yeah,
it still is.
every day.
It's- yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
They're little humans. I think the biggest thing for me with parenthood was the adjustment from being the center of each other's universe to now
That's exactly what I was gonna ask.
I'm like just a planet orbiting around, right?
Yeah.
I was jealous. I was really
too.
jealous.
I didn't like that little
I'm like,
kid.
wait a minute.
I was like, you ain't even known him but 2 months. And now he's taking up all your time. He can't even hold his head up.
Right. That was tough. Legitimately, that was tough. I'm used to getting, dinner every night. We getting cakes, baked, we getting all that stuff, and it just went away.
Quickly.
Quickly.
How was y'all adjustment going into parenthood?
Same thing. It was, for me, it was very just kind of difficult because at that time we weren't living together the first year because military service, I had to move away. So I'm playing weekend dad, and during the week I'm warrior Marine. And the weekend, it's like coming home trying to not be Marine, yelling at everybody, not being upset, to try to play dad and try to play husband. It was like, it was completely opposite worlds. So it was very, I had to kind of turn on alter egos, essentially, be two different people at one point, balance different lives. So it was. I'm sure she'll tell you I was not the nicest person at that time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm curious from the women's perspective. I actually just made a post about this not that long ago, and we don't talk about it enough, about sometimes the struggle and competition that exists between being a mother and being a wife, trying to literally balance it all, trying to wanting to split yourself down the middle so you can attend a soccer game and support your husband's work event or something, especially when they fall on the same day. And you're like, how do I do both of these? So I'm just curious for you guys, how has that process been for you, if you've ever felt the pressure or the competition between those two roles, those two hats?
I'd say for me, it's gotten better. I have less mommy guilt, less guilt about missing things or not being places. But in the beginning, I wanted to do both and be in both places. And he's jealous. He's like, the kids are getting your attention. I'll come in from something, or he came from out of town. And he wanted all of my attention, and the kids were there, and I could tell he needed my time and my attention. Even my mom was like, okay, y'all go to dinner, because he needs your attention. So he wants my attention, and it's hard to balance both, but I try to let go of mommy guilt, because it'll consume you.
It will. Yeah. What about for you?
Because we went straight from dating to marriage. So it was we weren't living together. We didn't really get that time to be adults together. So when we finally moved in together, it was after we had already had my firstborn. He was already a few months old. So that just kind of was natural in the sense of going straight into family life. But I feel the big change for me was when we were dating, we were, for lack of better words, we were very passionate, we were, spontaneous. And so that transition from that to trying to be intimate or have, intimate time, and split that up between being an exhausted mom, and then we just kept having more kids. So it was just that exhaustion never went away. I feel over the last few years, I've finally been able to get that balance back of the importance of having that intimate time with my husband and making sure I'm giving him his time and giving the kids their time. But I feel in the beginning, it was one person's gonna get my time and the other person, I'm gonna be asleep. It's not happening.
We're the ones that lose most often than that.
No, yeah, every time. that was the biggest thing. That was one of the biggest things. It was like shit. It was like it went from spontaneous to we're intimate to nothing. It's like
For years.
no, legit. It was like once every so often we're getting time to. We weren't even able to go on dates, and it was just like, okay, man, I wanna. It wasn't even just because of her. It was like work. I can't. They won't give me leave. They won't give me leave time to go away from work to go.
He was working 12-hour shifts.
Yeah, spend the day with her. So just like it was just piled on top of piled of like you can't separation. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But
Because we definitely got a lot of time before we had kids. We waited 5 years before we had kids. So it wasn't, so we saw it like we were single, we were not single, we were together, but kid-free and got time with each other. And then you throw kids in and it's managing all of that.
So one of the things that's really interesting about like seasons is sometimes you find yourself in a season you didn't anticipate. So like at the beginning, I was definitely a 9-to-5er. I've always been like, I'm a clock in, climb the corporate ladder, do the things, get a gold star. I'm just structured that way. And then as we've moved into this world of like entrepreneurship and I've fallen into it, Kevin has always wanted, like his dream has always been to work for himself. So as I've fallen into it, he's like, I'm here to help. And I'm like, yeah, but you're kind of like having a takeover spirit. And so like when he comes in, he's, Kevin, he's a big, bold personality, fun personality. Like he consumes a room when he walks in. And so I'm kind of like, I know all of them want your attention, but I kind of want you to back up. And so finding...
Then she don't know how to edit that video. And then like, how you wanna,
Don't do me.
what's this
Don't
thing
do
on
me.
Final Cut?
Don't do me.
No, but you
Don't do me.
you got it. You got it under control.
You got it.
You got
You
it.
independent black
You don't
woman.
need me.
INDEPENDENT.
First of all, I graduated from the University of YouTube. I have all the degrees.
All the degrees.
No, Melissa, all jokes aside, Melissa would spend 3 hours on YouTube before she would ask me.
Absolutely.
I can show you in a
'Cause now I
second. She'll be
got a
like,
point to prove.
never.
'Cause now I have a point
I
to
will
prove.
learn how to read Hebrew before I ever let you teach me how.
For real though. But I think one of the transitions for us is when I think about who I was, again, we got married at 16. So when I think about who I was then, who I was becoming, because at 16 I wasn't nobody, okay? I was trying to figure myself out. But going from 16 to 38 now and finding my voice, finding out what I like, what I don't like, being able to articulate those things to him, I think he was kind of like, I just felt like I was coming off too strong, too fast, too much. And so that was it was a very, still a hard transition for us because sometimes I can come off, it's like when you're like jumping double dutch and you finally get it, you're like, ah! That's how I can come across. Like, I'm gonna say it. Well, now I just said it. You're just kind of like, whoa, girl, wait a minute. And I think that's been like one of our like transitions as I've grown, as I'm growing and finding my voice is like him adjusting to like, who is this new Melissa? Because you're not the person I married.
I think also you're loving the same person differently. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things about being together since we were so young and you guys like were cheating on your other spouses with each other. But none of us are the same person we were 2 or 3 years ago, much less 10, 15 years ago. And I used to use this analogy. It's like having an iPhone or Android, whatever phone you use. Like, if you think about the first iPhone you had and the one you have now, like they always introduce a new feature and they send like terms and conditions, new software update. You read about it, okay, well now where's the home screen? Remember the home screen was gone, how you just turn it on, you know? And I think that's how it is for my wife. I remember when she left her job and, came full-time into like entrepreneurship, she came into a world that I already knew a lot about and I had already worked a lot in. And to add more pressure to that pressure cooker, my position, I was the boss, right? So when people come to me, it was, here's my boss, how do I do this? So you ask me a question, I tell you like you're my employee. Or comics ask so it's always that. But talking to your wife like she's your employee, for someone they don't like it. They don't like it. So she had to be like, first of all, I remember one time she asked me a question and I answered, she was like, first of all, I was good at my job. And I was like, what?
Shots fired.
What? I know that. So I think that's a part of evolution is you've got to always be loving and learning your spouse. You know what I mean? Because even your taste buds change. I used to hate salmon. I love it. Used to hate spicy food. I think I like it now, but I don't. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the only way you're gonna go from 5 years to 15 to 20, 25, 30 years of marriage. You're loving a new person who just looks like the person you knew, but it's not the same person. You can't, and here's the worst part, and I'm gonna go back to this, or I wanna ask you guys this. Has it been hard to, or has it ever been hard to love the current version when the past version
You enjoyed more.
you enjoyed more? Like, past Melissa pre-kids, I was kind of like, I wasn't necessarily jealous, but we used to do everything together. She was helping me with the plays, and then I remember the specific moment, we used to live in Washington, and she was our stage manager for our plays. She was the best we ever had. She was doing it for our play after she had our first son, and it was raining, and she had brought him to rehearsal, and I remember her like about to take him out of the car, and she was like, I can't do this. This baby's 6 months old. I can't be bringing him out in the rain to sit in the, this is not gonna work. And I was just like, dang, we're not gonna get to do this together anymore. And previous Melissa had plenty of time to do that. And we used to do these type of things together. So I'm curious, did you guys have versions of the current person where you're like, dang, like that home screen that we loved, or the headphone jack? Is there parts of your partner that you missed?
Oh yeah, there was definitely, especially when we first got married. There was the, like you said, she now she had a child. So now you're always with child. You're always mommy. You don't got enough time for me. So now it's like we don't get to do anything together.
Right.
When we first got together, she was doing her photography, and she kind of brought me on board, and I was doing stuff with her and working with it, and a lot of that stopped when we had the first child. I could help out a little bit, but I can't help out as much. If anything, I'm taking him from you.
Right.
Now I'm spending time with him to help you do whatever you have to do. And so it's like, I definitely, at one point in time, I felt like I was a third wheel. I was like, man, like, y'all go do, he likes you more anyway. Y'all go do what you doing. I'm gonna sit over here and just work, I guess. And like I definitely missed certain parts. But I mean, a lot of those, like especially now in this season that we're at now, a lot of those parts that I've missed have kind of shown up again in different ways.
Okay, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a good lead-in.
I definitely resonate with everything that he said. And it's like, we definitely had great times like in our friendship. But like I said, our time of dating was so short before we got into marriage. Sometimes I forget we even were friends before marriage. Like sometimes it feels like we started at marriage and child. Yeah. And like he can tell you, like those first few years were so traumatic. Like I feel like we went through everything we could have possibly went through in marriage besides just like straight up killing each other. And so now I'm finding that in this season, I'm like, oh my God, I like you so much more. I tell him though, like, we'll look at old pictures. I'm like, I do not like those people. Like, I like us even more in this season than I did in the last season that I liked us. So
Wow.
that's,
Yeah.
I honestly, that's beautiful. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing at all, because I think you said 10 years in, it would be anyone's hope that I like you more today than I did yesterday, because it allows you to have hope for tomorrow versus dreading tomorrow because I'm not quite sure where I'm gonna land on a I like you scale. I think that's beautiful. So I know you guys are entrepreneurs, so add that element as well, because I don't know that we talk enough about couples in the entrepreneurial space.
Right.
And the trouble, the added layer, the added stress of working together, someone that I love and someone I need to sleep next to, and the coworker that I want to strangle.
That's right. That's right.
Because you think you know all the things.
You know a lot of things, though.
We know a lot of things. All the things.
That's kind of how you got.
That's how we got here.
That's how we got here.
It's not all the things.
Thank you. It's not all.
And add one more thing. The coworker you want to fire sometimes.
Yes.
Correct.
Like, I want to fire you, but I can't, because this business was your idea, so I can't fire you. So I don't know, I need you because you're the creative.
Or the one that wants to quit. That's me.
That's right.
Don't worry about firing me. I quit first.
I mean,
tell us.
It's been an interesting ride. I think you guys touched on it earlier. So being partners in the business, there are days, and in my day job, so I manage people and I run stuff that way, but there are times I'm talking to her like she's an employee.
Crazy.
And she's looking at me like, I don't work for you, okay? I don't work at your job, you know?
No.
And then there are days she's giving me that energy.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to do this, do that, do that. I'm like, hey, time out. Come out.
Yeah.
Did you ask me how my day was this morning?
Right.
Did you?
Get to
can
this
we-
money.
But that's the biggest.
It's money.
Right.
Gotta find a way to get
So
this
that's
money
the
by tomorrow.
biggest. That's been the biggest thing is just having to adapt to, okay, we're running a business, but we're also spouse. You know, we're husband and wife, and there are emotions there, and there's all kinds of stuff that you have to consider on that front. But I don't know from your perspective how you.
For me,
think
it was
about it.
learning how to communicate and when to communicate. Because I wake up at 6 and I want to talk about everything at 6:05. Like, he's like brushing his teeth. I'm like, okay, so I got to do this. I got a meeting. Can you join this call? What do you think about it? Did you look at that contract? And he's like, can I just brush my teeth? And then at 11 o'clock, after bath, bed, dinner, all of that, he wants to do that. And I'm like, dog, I'm trying to go to sleep. Don't ask me about anything that's in that email.
We might be the opposite.
Listen, I said, I woke up the other day, I said, man, I feel rested, right? Just to myself, kind of out loud. Melissa came in the bathroom, oh, you just sleeping all so good. Just a good morning to you.
I just felt like it was unnecessary to brag that early.
That's a good night. But I think it touches on an interesting point because, like, you know, you're trying to love someone who just has a different schedule.
Yes.
That's right. And you like,
That's right.
at night, Melissa want to talk all day, and I'd be like, whew. Yeah, I love it. What was it? And I'm asleep.
Yes.
Before I go to sleep, I want to do one thing.
That's right.
And then, we talk in the morning. We can talk at 6 a.m. all
Right.
day.
Right.
But 9 p.m.?
Yeah, it's over.
No.
And the other thing, I've grown. This is where I think I've grown. And like, I used to be afraid. I used to pretend I heard everything you said. Now I just tell her like, yeah, were you telling me that yesterday? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I'm not saying you didn't say it. I'm not saying you didn't tell me.
Right.
I just don't remember.
I'm
So you
getting
might
there.
have to-
You don't be
I'm getting there.
listening.
I'm getting to that part.
You're not there yet.
I'm still at the part where you didn't say that.
I just live in it. You just gotta, now I just live in it. Like,
Now I'm like,
I
did
didn't
you
hear
hear me?
Told him I'm gonna make him start signing contracts to confirm that he heard me when I told him something because he will swear 10 minutes later, like, you never told me that. He's like, you have to make sure I heard it. And I'm like, you looked me dead in my eyes and said, yes, okay, got it. Like,
Verbal confirmation?
Yeah, bro. It'd be like because she likes to talk to me while I'm in the middle of doing something. Sometimes she'll tell me something and I'm just like,
bruh, stop lying.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Stop lying.
Or mid-thought. That's not true. That's true.
All the
All the
time.
time, you and your son both like interrupt my thoughts.
You and your son. That's a good adjustment. I love that adjustment. I do
You and
that too.
your son?
You and your son.
I'm curious about something because you were saying you were saying the one job was stressful, and you said you were in the military.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious, how was that evolution when you went from the job you hated to the job you loved? And I'm sure being in the military and out of the military, like, how were those job changes like on your marriage?
It was very stressful. Like it was just very stressful all the time, being in high impact stress. It was the same thing when I got out and I started working too. It was just, work, stress. To not really being able to spend time at home, spend time with a person who de-stresses me, who helps me decompress. I can't spend time with you because I'm too busy stressed out.
Yeah.
So as soon as I left that area, that environment, it almost did a 180. It was almost,
Really?
it was like, okay, we're spending time now, we're rebuilding our relationship, we're building up our friendship. Everything changed. Our communication started getting better. I was able to take care of myself more, which in turn allowed me to take care of her and take care of our marriage more.
Yeah.
So it was,
When
complete
you started
180.
working at home.
Yeah, when I started working at home, yeah. Versus, it was probably the best thing that happened to me.
And what about you, the stressful job versus the non-stressful job?
Yeah, so I worked on Wall Street at the height of the financial crisis. So
The Big Short time?
big short time
Oh, no.
at the height. And so it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It was stressful. And it got to the point where on like Sundays, I would tell her, I can't do anything today. I need to prepare mentally for work tomorrow. I can't go anywhere. If you're going to get food, just bring it back home. Because I can't do anything today. My mind has to be ready for tomorrow. And so when I left that job, similar story, like it was like flipping a switch. Like just the peace, being a better person, being more calm. Oh, I'm sure you had the
go to brunch.
realization. We can go to brunch on Sunday.
We can leave
We
the
can hang
house.
out. We can do this stuff. And it immediately had an impact. And I knew it was gonna have an impact because she commented when we lived in New York. She was like, I think you're maybe becoming a little bit different of a person. Like you're not the same person. Like it's changing you. And that's when I went, whatever. I'm still the same guy. But then I started to realize, like, no, I am changing. This stress is getting to me. This pressure cooker is really getting to me. And similar to you, it was probably the best decision I made was to leave. And it was really healthy for our marriage at that point.
Was it a choice?
It was a choice. It was a choice. Yeah, it was a choice. Because the crazy thing about it was I was actually really good at the job, you know, but it took so much energy and so much of me to be good at that job that, you know, she was losing at home. So it was a choice to leave.
I think all of us, my sister actually works in a very high impact, high level of stress job. And I think with the world today and what is it called? The big exit, the big exodus?
Resignation is
The
what it is.
great resignation.
Great resignation. There we go.
I'm so churchy talking about the big exodus.
I like it.
Just making
The
up
children
stuff.
of Israel, what was it?
Part of the Red Sea, go. The Great Resignation. I think a lot of people are starting to recognize, especially millennials, I hate that term, but whatever, older millennials, that our jobs are so demanding. I used to actually complain, I used to say this, that my job gets the best hours of me. And I come home and I give my family scraps because I'm exhausted and I have nothing left. And I think sometimes the decision of choosing your family over that job is quite literally not only the best thing you can do, well, for your family, but for yourself, because you want to be present and you don't want your partner and your kids to get like the leftover version of you that's barely holding on because you're exhausted and you're anxious for the next day and you're thinking about your to-do list for tomorrow. And this is what I used to do, send myself emails. Oh, you forgot to do this. Let me send myself this email. So when I get into work, it's the first thing that pops up. Like, I don't want to be at home at work.
Yeah.
So how has this, so you guys are entrepreneurs, doing the influencer thing, correct? And then you guys have your own business. So how is this phase of life going?
Amazing. Yeah. This is our favorite phase.
Hands down. Hands down. I'm the best person I've ever been.
You got your feet out. You relax. You ain't got no socks on.
I'm telling you, I went from wearing steel-toe boots every day. I was like, nah, man, I'm good, man.
Sandals, boy.
Uniforms? Nah, sandals all
Toes
day.
out is supreme relaxation.
That's freedom. That's freedom.
That's how I walk around. I don't even wear socks no more. I promise you. Like, I don't even wear
This
socks.
is a real evolution. This man went from wearing like nothing but Jordans to Walmart sandals. Like he's good.
That's
freedom.
That's freedom.
It's no longer that stressful version of me is like you said, it was like a switch.
Yeah.
It was like I had to turn it on, and I think I said it earlier, I was a completely different person. And it was like, I don't like this person. This is not who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was like, oh, well, you can be whatever you want to be now. You're not in the, you can work for yourself and do what you want. It was like, oh, I can? Oh, okay. Oh, well, let me go ahead and put my shoes on, no socks. Sorry, I ain't gonna say nothing like
I think for us, it's been wonderful being entrepreneurs, starting a business together. I mean, I think the best of both of us have gone into the business. And then for our kids, like our 7-year-old is starting to understand the business. He's asking questions. Did you guys sell anything today? Like he's, so being able to do it together, but then see the kids start to understand it and they're thinking about the business. Yeah. It's been on the I guess the theme of seasons, it's probably been our best season.
One of the biggest, I think, takeaways and maybe encouragement for couples going through all of these seasons is that if you hang on, there becomes a beautiful rainbow and a beautiful season that happens. I think when I think about our beginning seasons when our kids was little, actually those was probably good times for me, but we was also broke. Your 20s are ghetto.
Yes.
They're just ghetto.
That's tough, man.
By your late 20s-ish, things start to click. And then I just feel like your 30s are just a beautiful season of life. And I think our marriage, we're in our 30s in our marriage right now. I feel like we're in our 30s in our marriage. And I think that's the season where you're like, I got it. I understand you. I understand me. We're in therapy. That helps a lot as well. Your children, our kids are older. And I think things just start to click a little bit. And I think if there's anything that I could take away is that, 13 years, 10 years, 18 years married, that after so long, if you hang in there, things get better. You just gotta kind of go through the thick of it. But at the end of it, there is something really, really beautiful. And I think that's what we've all attested to. Like, yes, we went through the hard times and they were tough. Don't get it twisted, okay? But to be here today and to say, I like you more today than I did yesterday, my favorite version of the past version of us, I like this version even better than that. That's so beautiful. That is just beautiful. And I would hope that I'm able to say that even 30 years from now, as I look at this time, as like, man, I like you today. You know, at the beginning of the pandemic, I wasn't so sure.
Talk about it.
I wasn't so sure.
This has been another great episode of Couch Conversations. The evolution of marriage right here on Black Love. I've been Kev on stage. She's been Miss Kev on stage. These have been our friends. And we'll see you next time. I'm not good at that part, Cody.
He said I know when to get out. I know when.
It was right there, though.
It wasn't. You
I
didn't
feel
even
like
wrap it up.
another question would have taken us over.
But you could get final thoughts.
I don't know how. It's okay. On this season, I only know how to say goodbye.
Peace. Bye. We're out of here.